Bites.
All right. Party people in the place to be, vandals, and whatever scavengers might also be out there in the wasteland looking for water made out of people or not. We don't know and we don't judge, but that's right, man. This is a big, exciting episode of Buzz Bites. We are talking about one of our single favorite franchises. It's become a franchise in recent history, at least, or film. This is, of course, is Turbo Kid. This was Maddie's big idea, which we all jumped right on because, like, we are all super huge fans. Joey is especially excited because this movie was made in his homeland of Quebec. I think that's in South America, if I'm not mistaken. And it's got all kinds of wonderful, just everything about it. Joe, like you have the notes. You know who directed this thing and everything. Like, enlighten us all.
It's a group of 3 directors and writers that make films together. They're referred to as RKSS Films or just RKSS. It's a brother and sister and some other French Canadian Quebecer.
It's the sister's husband.
It's her husband? That's what I thought, but I wasn't sure. I kind of looked quick, and it wasn't written on IMDb. It wasn't written spouse or anything like they normally do. So it's it's Anouk.
Get it together, Mr. Canadian.
François Simon is the husband, and the brother is Yann Wessel. You may also know them from another movie that might be a little more known as Summer of 1984 is their second full-length feature that got some pretty good reviews at Sundance and festivals. I think Turbo Kid also did pretty good at the festivals as well. They were at Sundance, the SXSW, so they do the film festivals with all their movies. So they get some good traction with their work.
Okay. Go ahead, Steven. Thank you very much for watching, period, and thanks for letting us know. And yeah, Michael Ironside is the king. Like, he is so good in this. We're going to get to that when we get to it, but yeah, Turbo Kid has also recently become a comic book series. I guess it did at the time. I didn't know. That's one of the wonderful things about certain innovators in comics right now. Like, we have a company called Behemoth, and they were smart enough to hire this kid named Kevin Rodatelli. And this guy is really, really a genius because he knows of these books that people would absolutely eat up, but were mismanaged by other comic book labels. And he's like, how about we buy the rights to these and put them out? Because, like, dude, a Turbo Kid comic, everybody would go nuts for it. And of course, like, Happy Tent Comics will be re-releasing the Turbo Kid books, Apple's Lost Adventure and the Skeletron, what's it
Unleashed.
called?
Unleashed.
Yes, which are 2 really fun one-shots that are kind of side stories for side characters in the film that kind of get you to the point of where the movie takes place. And oh my God, they are just rendered so beautifully. And we'll cover those individually after we discuss the film. But aside from that, we are also getting a throwback style video game in the near future that looks like it's going to be a platform mixed with some brawler elements. Joey, I think you know a little more about that than we do. Like, what's up with the video game?
Yeah, the video game should be dropping, I think they said in 2022. It should be dropping. It's a Metroidvania. For anyone who games, they'll know what that means. It's a side-scroller in the style of Metroid or Castlevania. It's going to have that retro style, so it's going to be 8-bit, 16-bit, something like that. This video game is being produced by Outer Minds. It's a small independent video game company out of Montreal. So they're going all local, man. This is all done from Montreal and I mean, and it looks good. They go on Twitter under Turbo Kid game, I think it is, and they have all the different trailers for this video game, and some of them look pretty good. It's looking like it'll be a fun retro throwback game.
Yeah, I'm stoked for the game.
Well, one of the neat things about this film, and me and Matt were kind of talking about it before the show, and that is this movie kind of predates the rest of the whole 1980s neon throwback style. Like, this was kind of predated all the rest of that. Like, before that really caught on with stuff like Stranger Things and a few others. Like, this one was one of the first movies I ever saw of this. And I remember seeing the trailers for this film on a film group that I was on back when I was on Facebook before I got kicked off, called Shitcase Cinema. But I did not know that this movie was going to be so gory. So when the film actually came out and I watched it, I was very pleasantly surprised because, like I've said many times on the show, I was raised watching Trauma. And then I was really into movies like Tokyo Gore Police and The Machine Girl and Meatball Machine. So when I saw that this movie was like a gore comedy, oh man, it was even more love at first sight with this thing. And let's get into the synopsis a little bit. Matt, why don't you go ahead and kickstart that?
All right, so we find ourselves in like a apocalyptic wasteland setting with the kid and him and his friend Apple and a cowboy from New Zealand are basically roaming around searching for a water source and having to deal with the main villain, whose name is Zeus, played by Michael Ironside, which is fucking great as always. And yeah, they just so much awesome gore. The dialogue is fucking hilarious. This is like the most fun I've had with any movie since it came out, easily. Like, every time I watch it, I have this big stupid fucking grin on my face. So yeah, I can't recommend. Like, if there's any movie to watch, just watch this. Like, fuck every other movie in existence. Just watch it.
I love the opening monologue with the whole, this is the irradiated future. This is the year.
This is 1997.
Which was so great because when I was a kid, that's when most like futuristic films took place, in the mid to late 90s. So right. I liked it, even though it was like 10 years before this film was made, they still went with that date. And I don't know, I just have an affinity for the year 97. It's like my favorite year of all time. So I just really loved that this was set in that. But getting a little further into the synopsis, like our main character, the kid, he wanders alone in the wasteland. There are some small settlements where you can trade water and, you know, like other despicable activities happen. But he like lives by himself, and he collects comic books for this real life superhero that used to exist in their world, the Turbo Rider. And he's like obsessed with it. And he's reading one of their comic books on a swing set when this really, really cute but demonically spastic girl shows up and just turns his life upside down. And man, Apple is such a great character. And Goose, why don't you kind of break Apple down for us a little bit, since you guys are kind of kindred spirits in a way, I'd say.
No, she's absolutely my favorite character. I watched the film last night. I hadn't seen it since like 2016, and I forgot how much fucking fun it was. And I forgot about Apple, which I know it's hard to forget about her, but as soon as she comes on screen, and I just fell in love with her all over again. Just the way that she talks, she's so spastic and ADHD. I really relate to that character a whole lot. You know, it's funny though. I will go back to something you said earlier when you said it was filmed in Joe's part of the world. That ending fight scene when all the different like gangs kind of come up, you know, behind Zeus. I thought to myself, wow, those people look like they're from Canada. That's got to be what Canada looks like. And so it's good to know that I was right on point with that. But no, I absolutely love Apple. She is. There's some stuff you find out later on about her, which is probably why she's so weird. But she is the absolute best character in the movie. She is giddy. She's happy. She's always kind of the brightest part of the film. Like you said, it's ultra gory and it's really campy. And I think that Apple really seals the whole movie together. She's constantly pushing the story along. You know, she's hugging people while they're riding bikes, and I absolutely love her. That she's definitely the highlight of the film for me, and that's saying something, especially with all the gore and the like triple stacked body at the end. Which, like I said, it had been probably 5 years since I seen the movie, and I definitely agree with Fulci. The whole time I was watching it, I just had a big stupid grin on my face because it's such a fun movie. Maybe the funnest movie that I've seen in probably the past 10 years. It's that good. It actually, with the Zeus character, reminded me, and how they were using the people as water reminded me of another kind of campy movie that's in the comics field, is that the 1995 Tank Girl with Lori Petty. I really love both of these films, and that Michael Ironside basically being a badass as always. I kept on thinking like, oh man, that's what happened to him after the fucking bugs got him, bro.
Old Rad checks Roughnecks. But after he meets Apple, they kind of play around, and it's really cute. And they get attacked by this samurai on a BMX bike. And that's another thing about this movie, is the only mode of transportation in this post-apocalyptic future is BMX bikes. Everybody has one, and they're all rad. But like, yeah, there's this samurai dude with like the basket helmet, and he's after him. He's like a headhunter, and basically he captures them, and they get taken to Zeus's lair, where they must compete in this gladiatorial battle. And
drained pool.
In a drained pool. And yeah, you want to take on how funny that fight literally is, Matt, because it's hysterically funny from the beginning.
The fucking what is it? The eyes, throat, genitals, dude. I want to do that to somebody so bad. Like, I don't even care who it is. Like, I'll do it to a child. Just like as long as someone is filming it, like, I'm down. Like, I have to do that to someone now. So whoever earns some ire from Fulci next, you're getting the fucking eyes, throat, genitals. I'm sorry in advance, but it's coming.
Strike first, strike hard, show no mercy. This is my no.
Yes, what Fulci's alluding to is basically the Australian cowboy. I think his name is Peter, the arm wrestler. He kind of gives out these orders of how they should fight.
It's Frederick.
Frederick,
yeah. And he tells Apple to beat up that guy, and she just, at the moment, like, they didn't even say fight begins, she just runs up to this dude and just drops him. And it is so hilariously funny, because the girl that plays this character, she is adorable, just in the story, but she has this uncanny, just demonic, off-putting grin at the same time as just being completely adorable. And she's doing this while she's like murdering this guy. And oh man, she should get some awards, man. That little girl is an impressive actress the entire film, but her completely violent scenes, oh my god, was she hysterically
she
amazing.
Just straight beats the fuck out of that dude with her gnome stick while she's smiling the whole time. Just fucking perfect, dude.
And that's when they kind of introduced my other favorite character. Well, they kind of bring him more into the focus. Michael Ironside's underling, Skeletron, who is the silent guy in a skull mask, and he's got this buzzsaw like shooter for a hand. And oh man, like, the actor that plays him is really good. He's very expressive. He's really, really animated, and he doesn't say a word. But like, you can tell everything. He has the C-3PO thing down. He is really good for a guy that doesn't talk and makes only expressions. Like, he nailed his part. Yeah. And yeah, between him and Apple, like the rest of the characters pull their weight, but like those two steal the show in my opinion. So I'm really happy they got the spin-off comics too.
Yeah, I just want to say that like overall, all of the acting is actually really solid for like a throwback, cheesy 80s movie. Like if Troma hired good actors and the quality of the filming was a little bit better, that's exactly what you're getting with this movie. like the acting was super solid all the way around.
Yeah, we get a lot of subsidies in Quebec for movies and stuff like that to help movies get produced, and so there's a lot of money thrown at the arts in Quebec, whether you do movies or other things. And if you notice at the beginning, New Zealand also put some money down for this movie, so it's produced by Canada and New Zealand. It's kind of a combined effort, which is kind of weird. You don't see that very often. But they have a few scenes that they filmed in New Zealand, and there's a few actors from New Zealand as well. So you have like the combo of the two. And another odd thing is this is a Quebec film, but it's in English, which is very rare for a Quebec filmmaker to make an English movie, unless they go big like Villeneuve or something like that. But usually when it's small, they keep it French and it goes into the theaters here. So it's a very odd occurrence for Quebec filmmakers to make an English movie like that and have it get traction and be popular as this one had become.
If you pay attention, though, the stop signs and stuff are in French, though, during the film, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah, most of this film was filmed in Thetford Mines. So, yeah, it's a little, like, secluded town towards the east end of Quebec.
Yeah, this movie started out as a short that was for the ABC's A Death Films contest. I think it placed third. It was called T is for Turbo. And yeah, if you haven't seen that, it's worth a watch.
One of the directors, she played the
mom.
The mom, yeah.
The mom and the dad in the film.
Yeah, the two of the directors. In the actual film, they played the mom and the dad.
And then the
one
other
henchman
guy
that gets the blender.
Yeah, the blender.
Yeah, the blender, that's the brother. Yeah.
Yeah.
And in the T for Turbo, the woman director, she played the girl character. I don't know what the name was. I don't know if it was her interpretation of Apple or what, but she was in the T for Turbo as well.
Yep.
Yeah, I love ABC's The Death.
I think one thing about this film that I really adore is the kind of side characters. Everybody you see in the movie is doing great. You know, we've got Turbo. You know, you've got Apple. You've got Zeus. But you've got the little side characters like the vendor in the town, who is just this greasy slime ball who's just super great. And his death is, I don't know if it's my favorite because it's really hard to pinpoint a favorite death in this film. But his,
his is the best, man.
Yeah,
just because of the whole, because he answers the question so fast, and like Michael Ironside's like, no, we set all this up. We can't let you go.
Right.
We gotta do and you go ahead and say what the death is, Goose, because it is so funny. It is.
He wakes up in a chair after he's trying to escape the town, and as he wakes up in the chair, he goes to talk, and he looks down, and his guts are hanging out, but his guts are attached to basically a stationary bike that has had the back wheel taken off. And then you know what happens from there. They're going to slowly extract his intestines out to get the answers they want. But when he answers too quickly, you know, like he said, Zeus set all this up, and you know, it's kind of a waste to not use it. And his death is just so glorious. All the blood splatter in this, they had to have gone through so much corn syrup and red food coloring, and I love it. It really is a throwback to a lot of those 80s films, which is another thing. I really liked the nods that they gave to a bunch of those 80s films. You know, it starts off with the montage. You've got some, you know, this is my gnome stick is a callback to This Is My Boomstick. You've got Strike First, Strike Hard, Show No Mercy, which goes back to Karate Kid. And just every element of this movie is just pure gold. Everything from Apple's reactions to the little confetti thing from the vendor and everything, man. It's pure fucking gold, man. It's gotta love this movie so much.
Well, you talked about the beginning, and I gotta say that opening inspirational
Yes.
hard rock song, they nailed it. That sounded like the opening track to like Gleaming in the Cube or any of those other type of films that you would have watched from the late '80s, early '90s, where they had those kind of like really "You're the best around" type songs, and it didn't even sound like it was made now. It literally sounded like one of those classic tracks, and then the rest of the movie was scored with just this beautiful synth pop scoring, which
How did that opening song go again, Johnny?
I don't remember how the one in the movie went.
No, you just did it. Do it again.
You're the best around. That's actually from Karate Kid.
I just wanted to hear you do that stupid shit again.
And speaking of the soundtrack, when I was going through stuff, I found today on Mondo, if you want the soundtrack,
you can get it on
vinyl. On glow-in-the-dark neon green. Yep. And I ordered that shit this afternoon.
How sexy
is I ordered
that?
it. I had to. I wasn't going to order it, but then I saw the glow-in-the-dark neon green. I was like, purchase. I was sold.
Yeah.
I'm a sucker for I'm a sucker for glow-in-the-dark shit. I'm a 90s kid, man. Toys glowed in the dark. Your comics glowed in the dark. They made everything fucking glow in the dark.
That's right.
And hopefully, since it's done in your place of origin, you'll be able to get it with non-stupid shipping rates, right? Hopefully.
No. It's Mondo is an American company, man.
Yeah.
It comes from the States.
That makes sense. Well, it's funny. It's funny, New Zealand and Canada teaming up because you've got America's Top Hat and Australia's Balloon just going at it, and I think they did a really, really good job.
Touching back on the callbacks, like Goose was saying, there's some pretty obvious ones, like from callback to Brain Dead or Dead Alive, depending on what side of the pond you're from, whatever you want to call it. There's always a little bit of a debate where he kills the rat, the mutated rat. That's a straight callback to Brain Dead. Yeah. So that was great. And you'll see the scene where they're in the bunker. This one I missed, but I caught it because I listened to the commentaries on the Blu-ray. Is when they're in the bunker, Turbo Kid and Apple, she picks up a box of cereal, and it's written Soleil Vert, which is the title of Soylent Green in French. Yeah, so there's a little callback to Soylent Green, and it kind of touches to water is made from people too and stuff like that. Right. So there's a callbacks to those movies, and they have so many little. They put this is their like love letter to everything they adore. Because in the context, they're saying they love Nintendo, and you got the Power Glove. His glove is made from the old Nintendo Power Glove.
The Zelda hearts. The
Zelda hearts. And like the sword, like when she does the gnome stick in the air, I think that's a reference to Zelda too. When he gets his swords, he puts it in the air. And when Turbo Kid puts his fist in the air and it glows, that's like a callback to Zelda. They're big time Zelda fans. So they threw a bunch of little things in there with the hearts and all that too. So there's a lot of elements from throwback from 80s, 90s video games as well. So it's only fitting that they decided or were able to make a video game and make it a throwback style in a game that would resemble that decade or that era of video games. So it's fitting.
I love that Soylent Green scene where he tells the vendor, "The water's people," and the guy's like, "Water's people? That's impossible," and he just chugs them. Everything is just so well done. I mean, everything it really lands. All the jokes are funny, and even the gore stunts were hilarious. Like Goose was talking about, there's the gang fight at the end. A lot of people end up being disembodied, and halves of bodies go flying, and they actually like stack on top of other people. And at one point there's a guy it's literally got like a torso on top of him, and then the bottom half of a person on top of that torso, and he's just like stumbling around, and like Michael Ironside's just like, "How is this so hard?"
The triple stack.
The parasol death of that's Skeletron, who gets the parasol umbrella in him, and then he just opens it up, and oh man,
and it rains for like 3 minutes.
I have to say the unicorn impaling of the punk rock chick with the yellow plastic armor was my favorite of the silly impaling deaths. That one, for some reason, just really cracked me up.
I like it. I just love the slow-mo of her coming up, like on the bike with the unicorn. That shit was fucking great, dude.
Yeah. Well, that all of Applestein, she really, like I said, she really does steal the show. But
Agreed.
one of the things, when Turbo and her are first talking, and she's like, "Oh, he died," and he says, "Oh, I'm sorry." And she, well, what did you do?
And her character, she's so enthusiastic about everything. Everything she does fully committed, and her heart's in it 100%, and she's just eating it up and loving every moment. That's why she has that perma smile with her eyes wide open, right? So you get the it's so good. She plays it perfectly. That childish innocence she does it so well. Like, and it plays off so well with him. Like, that's a great pair. I thought they did a great
chemistry
job
between the two were perfect, man.
Yeah, that was really good.
That scene when he presents her with the gnome stick for the first time, and she just fucking lights up like.
Then they show the scenes of her practicing after.
Yes. She's like, no, wait, so I told you to come here.
Come here. And then when they get in the pool for the battle, like, they're like, and then she just goes right at it. She wants to put that stick into practice, right?
Yes,
she's like, now's the time to... Yeah.
She's got some really great lines. There was the I'm sorry, and she's what did you do? But then there's the when she finally pulls up on the unicorn and she says, you didn't wait for me, and he says, I thought you were dead. She says, no, you didn't wait for me for the battle.
Start the fight. Yeah.
And then when the ultimate reveal that Michael Ironside's Zeus character is also a robot, and he says, or Turbo says, he's a robot, and Apple's like, you didn't know that?
Me and Johnny were talking about this earlier, and we loved that his like robot, he was just like some businessman's like butler, basically. Like, just that shit is so fucking hilarious to me. Like murdering people with a golf club, like. So good.
The fact that he used the putter as a cane the entire film, I thought was hilarious. But when they finally put it to use, I was just like, "Yeah, that's so good."
And one of my favorite deaths is when they're in the pool. I think it's Turbo Kid when he goes and slashes the guy's head,
and he's the helmet and just still kicks him in the balls.
And the fucking head spinning. I love that one where the fucking half his head is just spinning on the top. That was great. And I love the scenes that. Where he just eviscerates people with his glove, shoots, and they just poof, it's just blood everywhere.
Yes,
yeah, it's kind of like War of the Worlds, but done so much better, because it's just like splatter of blood everywhere. It's awesome.
We were talking about callbacks, and when they do finally do the Zeus reveal that he's a robot, the little red eye behind the eye patch was definitely just Terminator inspired. That's the first thing I thought of when I saw his little red eye gleaming out from behind the skin. Was that's a T-1000. That's incredible. I love it. And then his ultimate attack, the fucking like, I guess it's electric breath or whatever that charges up the glove. It's so good. I loved it. Oh man, it's such a great movie.
Well, when the arm wrestler comes back with the robot arm and the main fight at the end, he gets some pretty funny kills too. I like just how the people just walk up to him, and it was done so 80s style, but like the thing about this is the actors were so into it. Like they sold the film. Like none of them pretended like they were doing anything silly. They all showed up and they all made this thing as serious as possible for being as goofy and as fun as it is. And that's why I think that this is such a strong example of like you can actually make a trash film and make a really good movie out of it, even with the really silly, gory triple stack deaths and stuff.
I think that's what makes this movie so fun, though. Like from beginning to end, is you can just tell every single person working on this film was having a fucking blast. You could tell it was a love letter, that the filmmakers' hearts were like 1,000% into the film. Like just everything was so fucking fun. I can't like say that I've ever had more fun with a film ever.
Yeah, I remember when this first came out, and it was getting good reviews, and I was like, I saw it, and they didn't reveal much in the trailers or the previews, so I was like, man, what the fuck? Why is everyone loving this? It's like like you think little kids riding BMXs, you're like, what the fuck?
Right, and it's rated PG.
And then well, back when we had cable or whatever, we had the movie network, and it came on, so I was like, I'm gonna watch this because everyone's praising this thing. Yeah. And I watched it, and I was blown away. I was like, man, I so judged a book by its cover on this one, because man, it was not at all what I was expecting. It was so good. It was so much better than I could have ever imagined.
Yeah. How awesome were some of the weapon designs, though? We had a guy who had like a throwing star that was made out of straight razors. That was, you only get to see it once, but man, was the kill with it really cool. But one of my favorites is when the guy pulls out his double hammer, and then Turbo Kid pulls out his that are two hammers duct taped together, and then he drops his down, and he's got clawed hammer nunchucks, and he starts working them. I was like, oh, dude, that is so awesome. That is so cheesy and bad, but fuck, it's badass. That guy is working them like nunchucks, man. And
I'm glad you brought up the weapons, because my favorite one is the cinder block sledgehammer. Yeah. Oh, that thing is so badass, man. I love that. Where he's dragging it, and it's like a stick with twine on a freaking cinder block, and that big dude's just swinging it. Oh.
Yeah, the hammer from Resident Evil, like the one that the big dude drags around.
That's it. I'm sure that was a wink to Resident Evil right there. That one brute there, that was definitely, or Silent Hill or some shit like that.
I'm actually glad we're talking about the weapon design, because that is another one of my favorite parts of the movie. Is everything, like, you've got the guy at the end battle who's using the highway sign as a shield, and like it really there's a game. It was called Dead Island. I don't know if y'all ever played it, but like you could whatever you picked up, you could turn into a weapon, and you're kind of on an island with zombies and stuff, and you duct tape shit together and make all these ridiculous weapons. But it added to the film, because they are in this wasteland where, you know, the only gun that anybody has is Zeus, and it's like an old school, like German style pistol. But other than that, everything is just like makeshift weapons. And so, yeah.
I'm glad you brought up the gun, Goose, because the gun is actually the laser gun from Duck Hunt from the Nintendo, and they repainted it. Yeah, that's what his pistol's made from.
I absolutely love it. Well, and that's the thing. Like, all the weapons are just like shit you would find lying around in a wasteland, and I think they did such a good job with the way that they designed the weapons. Where, you know, you've got Turbo, who's always just duct taping shit together because it looks cool. And then, you know, you got the cinderblock sledgehammer. You've got, which we talked about, Skeletron's badass buzzsaw like arm piece, and besides
the bug hunter, the fist on a chain, the bug hunter.
Yeah, he only got to shoot it out the one time, but yeah, that was so Mike Mignola. I loved it.
Going back to the cowboy like fight scene, I have to mention it when he rips that dude's lower jaw off and then shoves it into his eyes. That was fucking awesome.
Yeah, they're one-upping each other with the depths. Yeah. He looks at him. He's like, watch this.
And the nuke, the yellow striped nuke. I thought that was like one of the funniest missiles I've ever seen in a movie. Yeah.
I'm gonna stick it up his ass so far that he can taste his own shit. The dialogue in this, it's just great little snippets that, like, I can't wait to just say it to people in real life. You know, I'm gonna shove my foot so far up your ass you'll be able to taste your own shit. Like, I'm definitely gonna use that. That's about as good as Joe's. You ever tried picking up your teeth with broken fingers? I love it, man. That, and then there's when you find out that Zeus and Skeletron rolled up on Turbo Kid's parents, and that's why he's alone in the wasteland, because his parents were killed by them. And like, I thought that reveal was really great, because, you know, the mom says, well, let's make it memorable, and shoots him in the eye, and that's why he's got his little like eye patch. And then, like, at the end, when Turbo tells him, well, then let's make it memorable. And he's, oh, you're the kid. Oh, you just keep surprising me. Like, oh, it's so good, man. I love the little, like, twists and turns. And then, the mom and dad's deaths, like, when he tells him, a man drowning is a pleasure that most people don't get the chance to have. Like, those, oh, man, it's so good. Michael Ironside is such a great villain in this.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Movies like this are only as good as their villain, and Michael Ironside is excellent.
Yes. He plays Michael Ironside, just like he does in every movie.
Which is awesome.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know on previous conversation we were talking about like what this movie is kind of like, and we kind of echoed that it had the same vibes as Hobo with a Gun. And it come to find out, one of the producers of this movie is Jason Eisner, who is the director of Hobo with a Gun, and he's the one who's cooking the food on the barbecue and spits on it. That's Jason Eisner. And in the commentaries, they're saying he stuck around for the first week of filming to help him out and give him tips, and he had his hand involved in this quite a bit with them. And they were saying that, like you said, they were having a blast making this movie. Like, everyone involved were just loving it. And it's funny because it was miserable weather. They said they shot in -10 the whole time. Oof, they said like anytime there's a scene with a fire, they loved it because it helped warm up the place and stuff. But not -10 Celsius, not
Fahrenheit.
So it was So Jason Eisner. That's why I was like, oh, it makes sense now that he has kind of a similar vibe and stuff to, like, with the goriness and the aesthetic. Even like the bad guy, it kind of, with the Skeletron, kind of had the similar vibes, and so it was interesting.
Plague. Yeah, the plague from Hobo with the Shotgun. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, and that's the thing. Like, you can tell that everybody was having a blast with this film just from the way that it came out. I mean, it's such a fun ride from beginning to end, and I think when you have like a cast and a crew that is in love with what they're doing, it really shines when you watch the film. Like Fulci said, man, it's one of those that you just smile from start to finish, and then you catch those little nods, like the Soylent Green nod or the Zelda hearts, and it brings you back to your childhood of that, like with the Power Glove. As soon as I saw the Power Glove, I was like, oh my god, I fucking love it. I always wanted one because growing up, you'd always see like the Power Glove fucking advertisements in the old like late 80s, early 90s comics. And I just remember reading those when I was, I was 7. So that would have been in like 2003. And just thinking to myself like, oh man, I wish I could have one of those, but you just couldn't fucking find them anywhere. And which is funny. It's set in 1997, and I would have been 3 years old.
Born, yeah.
I was born. Yeah, I was born in 94, a year after the Judgment Day soundtrack or Judgment Day soundtrack. Which I listened to Monday at work. Still such a great album to listen to. But no, like the synths in this just provide that kind of atmospheric.
I hear you, Mel. I hear you.
Yeah. No shit. Working with children.
This millennial makes us all feel that way. But yeah, go ahead, Goose. Go ahead. My bad.
Well, I was saying the synth track, like you were saying, it adds this atmospheric vibe to an already like fully atmospheric film, because it really does do a good job of the wasteland. I kept on thinking like, this is what Mad Max like crossed over with the Goonies would basically be. And the set designs, everything from the drain pool to the city that he goes into, and like it's so well done. You've got the guy standing guard with the
hockey mask.
Is it a hockey mask or a catcher's
like a goalie? I don't know.
Yeah. And man, and they've got like the bats.
I think
and shit,
it was a lacrosse mask. Actually, I think it's what the lacrosse players wear.
It was lacrosse, though.
It is the bad.
Eat it, Matt.
I had to, man.
Devil's gonna fart in your mouth tonight, boy. That's for sure.
I can only
You're getting the Donny Cage treatment.
I got a second Goose's shout out to the set designs. Man, so fucking well done, dude. As well as like the props and the fucking costume designs. Man, I can't say anything negative about this film. It was just all perfectly done.
Well, the cool thing is you could see what everything was made out of, and it was all utilitarian. It was all made out of something, and even the ninja guy's bike, it was construction paper that he had like the crazy demon face on it, but like it was still really cool that like he had like his bike all decked out to look like a demon. I don't know. It's just all the little things like that. You had the guys with the rubber armor, but like it was made out of bicycle tires instead of like car tires like you'd see in Demolition Man. And I don't know, all that stuff just cracked me up. It was just really cute. The only thing that I wish we got to see in the film that was in the comics were the tank tread rollerblades that some of the guys wear that chase Skeletron in the in his comic. That would have been really cool to see in film, but
well, that will possibly be in the sequel.
I was actually going to get to that. Like, are there any rumors about what's going to be in the upcoming?
It's very tight-lipped right now. The only thing is they've confirmed there's a sequel, and there's a bunch of things that they cut out in the commentaries. They said that if they get the chance to make a sequel, they're going to take a lot of those things and put it in the sequel. And the rollerblade thing came up, so more than likely that's going to be in the sequel. So I'm just adding 1 + 1 makes 2 here. So yeah,
1 plus and they definitely scenes makes part 2.
Yeah, so they definitely made it a point in the commentaries to mention the rollerblading stuff and how they really wanted to put it in it. And if they get a chance for a sequel, then it'll be in the sequel. So we'll see if they hold true to their word.
Johnny's gonna love that because he fucking used to rollerblade all the time when he was younger.
I want a fairy booter, man.
I've got a great rollerblade joke that I'm gonna have to tell off air, but no. Well, and that's the thing. You know, we've done this a couple of times now. When we did Attack the Block, we got to looking and found out they're gonna do a sequel to that. We were talking up Count Crowley and how we were wishing there was more, and then like 2 days later, it got fucking confirmed that wasn't it Dustin Dalamakian? Is that how you say it?
Polka Dot Man, just call him Polka Dot Man. That's what the
Polka Dot Man is going to be doing it. So, you know, fingers crossed we'll be getting some Turbo Kid 2 Electric Boogaloo coming soon. I'm ready for it.
Oh, it's getting made from what I said. Like, it's in production in some capacity. So it's
probably in pre-production possibly right now. But, yeah, like when I was talking to Kevin, he's like, I can't say anything. He's like, it sounded like he knew stuff was going on, but he couldn't really say yet. So I wouldn't be surprised if, like Goose says, they're probably getting ready to announce something soon, especially if the video game is coming out in 2022. I'm sure the news for the sequel is going to be following pretty quick.
And to throw some promotion Mr. Rodatelli's way, since he's been very kind to Joseph and to the show this week, we are going to be talking about the 2 one-shots that will be coming out from Happy Tank in a couple weeks, you said, Joseph, right?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
First up, we have the first one-shot that was released. It is called Apple's Lost Adventure. And Matt, go ahead and intro that for us, buddy, if you don't mind.
Yeah, it's a nice little one-shot that Lunac Books put out first before Happy Tank got a hold of the rights. And they did, I believe they released this with the original Kickstarter for the film. Or whatever platform they use to get the film going. I think they made a run of 1,000 of these. And it's written by RKSS with just great red and gray arts by Jake Dion. And it's like basically Apple's adventure to get to the beginning of her meeting the kid. And yeah, it's the dead body that she has with her at the beginning of the film. It's how she met that person, and yeah, basically just her little trek through the other side of the wasteland, and it's great.
Look at that art, man. Jake Dion is incredible. I love the way these books look. It's gorgeous. One of my favorite parts is that the Apple's Lost Adventure actually starts with the war with the robots, and we get to see a Turbo Rider fighting a Skeleton 2000. And when the nuke drops on the city, and he looks over and goes, "They didn't," and this gets evaporated. Oh, I lost it. That was so hilarious. That it really felt like part of the film. You know what I mean? I've read a lot of comic tie-ins where you can really notice like there's a separation, but these ones, like, oh man, they have the exact same flair. And the way Jake draws Apple and her face and her facial expressions, dead on, man. He is incredible with that. Yeah, look at that. The fight scenes in that Skeletron book are so fucking killer. But the ones in the Apple book are hilarious too, because she has a unicorn stick horse that she's beating these people with, and she actually fights a giant Skeletron cyborg herself to get out of the desert wasteland that she tells Turbo Kid about in the film. And her little trek, even though we know how it ends because it's where the movie begins, I think this comic is a must-have for anybody that enjoys any part of this film.
Agreed.
Joey, how do you feel about this book?
These books are great because they tell the story leading up to the movie for Skeletron and Apple. So it directly finishes where Turbo Kid and Apple meet on the swing is exactly where Apple's Lost Adventure ends. So it gives you that missing story of what happened to her old best friend. And it's great. I loved it. It's such, the art, the style, the tone is beautiful. And it's a pretty thick one shot. It's not just a 22 pager. It's got some decent story. The pacing is great. So if you want action, it's got a lot of action. Yeah, man, I can't say enough good things about these books. And I never even knew these existed until Fulci told me about it. And I was like, what? Right. And then he actually tracked a copy down for me. I got the French one because when they released these, they released, I think it was half the copies were done in French and the other half were done in English or something like that. Yeah. And he actually managed to track it down for me. And I picked up, the store had 2 copies and I was like, damn, give them to me. I'll take both. And I ordered both of them and I've been sharing them with friends and telling them about the movie. And I lend them one of the copies I have and just trying to get new fans for the franchise, man, because it's a great franchise to get into.
The way it's colored is so great too, because it actually looks like a faded comic book from back in the day. It looks like something that's been sun bleached and left out. You know what I mean? And I really like that they went with all the aesthetics that they did. Goose, you want to jump in on Apple's Lost Adventure?
Man, unfortunately, with the way my work schedule's been, and I'm actually going to have to dip out pretty soon, I haven't got to read them yet. I was thankful that I had just barely enough time to watch the movie yesterday. But yeah, no, I'm going in at, I got to be up at like 5, and then I don't get home until like 8. But I'm planning on reading them tomorrow with a little bit of free time after work. And you guys have got me really, really excited about it. And by the way, yeah, I absolutely love Apple, and so this is something that I'm super looking forward to. So yeah, I will be able to tell you a little bit more about how I feel on it Friday when we reconvene. But no, I absolutely adore Apple and Skeletron, and so the fact that both the one shots are about them just gets me super pumped to read them. I'm super excited about it.
Joey, you want to do the intro for Skeletron Unleashed really quick? It's going to be kind of the same as what Matt just covered with the artist and stuff, but like,
yeah, it's the same. It's the exact same creative team, like Matt said, because I didn't realize it was part of their fundraising for the movie. Like that must have been like a bonus if you.
Yeah, I think Skeletron came out later. They weren't released at the same time. Skeletron came out a few months after Apple's Lost Adventure.
I think the date on Skeletron, when you look, is 2016, and the movie was released in 2015. So that's that checks out. But basically, this is the story leading up to how Skeletron joins Zeus. It's before, pretty much the story of him before he joined Zeus and how he came to be. And he wasn't always the bloodthirsty henchman. That he actually had a bit of a soft spot in his heart. And you'll see this in the story. It dives into his character and gives you quite a bit more backstory and makes realize that he was pretty much quite a bit more humane than we see in the movie. So it kind of makes you. It's kind of like the Darth Vader, right? Story. Kind of similar. I know Fulci's gonna be rolling his eyes and puking in the garbage beside him for making the Star Wars
reference. Can we end the show now? Cut it off now.
But it's kind of like Skeletron going to the dark side, and it's a great story with some great art, some brutal like action, violent scenes like kills, and it's really good. It blew me away. Just the first page, like the first couple pages, I didn't know what to expect from this at all. And when I opened the book, the first page was heads on a stick. Yeah. With that art, I was like, oh, I fell in love right from the first page. Look at that. How could you not? That sepia paper with the red tones, like I was sold instantly. And
so outlaw style, man.
Yeah.
And Matt and I have been best friends ever since.
Yeah, until just now when he started talking about Star Wars. Friendship is fucking over.
Well, the thing was, is he wasn't. It's not that he wasn't bloodthirsty. He just did have a soft spot because, like, those heads on pikes were all from him. He worked for a different ruler at the time. He was called the Water Lord, and like he had these red mohawk dudes, and but Skeletron did have a little friend for a little bit, and it's almost a really cute friendship. And yeah, you can see how he became the total psycho he was. But you also get to see the evolution of his mask, because he had kind of a different skull mask at the beginning, but he makes the metal one out of an actual cyborg, out of an actual Skeletron cyborg, and that's a badass scene. I love.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, if Fulci knew that you wouldn't enjoy it, I'm sure Darth Fulci would force choke you right now. But you'd love it too much.
Fulci. He's not even Darth Fulci. He's Kylo Fulci.
I fucking quit.
And we just got him back.
Yeah, you fucked that up.
One of my favorite things about Skeletron is his hair, man. That actor has the coolest hair this side of the actor Walton Goggins. Like, if I could grow hair, I would love to have hair like to do the play Skeletron, man.
It's actually a wig, so.
Oh, is it? Okay, I have to find out which one he wears.
There's a scene. Awesome. There's a scene in the movie because he doesn't say anything, or you don't see his face at all in the movie. And there's one scene where they give him a scene where he's out of costume. He's playing like an extra, and where they're going to the pool party. There's like those planks, so you don't walk in the mud, and he's the tall guy walking down the planks leading into the pool party scene. That's the dude that plays Skeletron. Actually, It's Edwin Wright is the guy that plays Skeletron, and that's the one scene they gave him because they felt bad because he didn't have a single line, and you never saw his face. So they're like, we have to give him one scene where you can at least see him, and they gave him that scene in the movie. Yeah.
But when Happy Tank releases these issues, I highly recommend everybody go pick them up. The action, the fight scenes, so beautifully rendered. They are really good, really strong post-apocalyptic fun books. And Jake Dion's art is just chef kisses, man. Like Joe was saying, like right off the bat, I'm looking at it and I'm like, wow, this is a movie tie-in book that nobody ever heard about, and that is a goddamn criminal offense. So bless Kevin Rodatelli and Happy Tank for putting these back out, because like honestly, like this is something that anybody should own, in my opinion.
Agreed.
Especially if you like fun things.
Yeah, Happy Tank. I'm digging the titles they're finding and releasing. Like Motherfuckers, he brought that here, releasing that in single issues. I read Cinnamon. Love that book. I thought that was great. And now they're bringing Turbo Kid to the plate. And like the lineup of books, I can't say anything bad about them. They're all great titles that are fun to read.
Yeah, super fucking solid.
All hail Behemoth, man, like they say.
Yeah, they teamed up with Behemoth. Yeah. I think that's a match made in heaven right there, Behemoth and Happy Tank.
Yeah, you know what's not a match made in heaven? You comparing anything about this to fucking Star Wars, piece of shit.
Fulci, we missed your wit.
I know you guys did.
Yeah. Yeah.
But all right, that was our retrospective look at Turbo Kid. I think we covered all the bases. We talked about the film, how good it is. We talked about the awesome comic. Oh, we didn't talk about the video game, but there's not much to say. There's a trailer.
I
touched about it a little bit.
At the beginning there, we touched on it.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's Outer Minds. It's a Montreal-based indie video game publisher. They're working on it right now.
Kickstarter.
Yeah, the Kickstarter hasn't been announced yet. It should be coming soon if they plan on releasing it in 2022. But they're already in the process of making it. So, like, the Kickstarter, like, it's already started. So the Kickstarter is probably just going to be there to get the final touches, maybe to get them physically made and put out there.
You can find them on Kickstarter already and get the notify on launch. So everybody should definitely do that.
But the shots I've seen and the video I saw of like the gameplay, it looks perfect. It looks like what a Turbo Kid throwback game should look like, and that's definitely something you should keep your eye on if you're a bit of a gamer yourself.
It's got BMX action. It's got blood and gore. It's got all of it, man. It's true to the movie. It's based from the 2015 movie. From what they were saying, I don't think it has anything to do with the potential storyline in the sequel. So they're pretty much clear that it was straight up based on the 2015 movie. So
I'm fine with that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But there you have it, man. This was Buzz Bites, Turbo Kid exclusive fangasm episode, because we all absolutely adore this flick, and we're just so happy that so much more of it is coming out. If you haven't seen this film, I highly recommend it. Like, it is just a good time. Even with the gore, I think that it shouldn't offend anybody because it is so over the top, and just give it a shot. And when the Happy Tank releases of the issues come out, pick them up. They are must own, awesome little indie gems, in my opinion.
It's a very charming, violent gore fest. That's pretty much what it is.
It's basically the equivalent of walking into Toys R Us as a kid and seeing someone get murdered.
Don't get in my personal bubble.
Arm's length type of thing. I like when he tried to say it back to her, but he couldn't get the words right, and she's just like, okay, and just smiles at him like, and doesn't even listen to him. She's still hugging him when she's on the bicycle and stuff. It's good stuff. But until next time, this is Buzz Bites, a product of Pink Buzz, only brought to you on Graphic Vandalism. Don't stop reading. Don't stop watching awesome movies, and don't stop supporting excellent music like this soundtrack. Go get the neon glow-in-the-dark green vinyl for this soundtrack, because the synth pop score is to die for. And until
on Mondo.
And until next time, you guys stay classy and don't compare.
Don't watch Star Wars.
Don't compare it to Star Wars, at least.